This is Mongolian Mindset, and today we're going to be breaking down the cognitive function introverted sensation. We're going to be breaking down this so well that you could be blind, deaf, and dumb and still be able to recognize when somebody using these functions. Comment below if you know somebody who uses these functions, or you know about somebody who uses these functions, or if you use these functions, and did this bring any clarity to you with understanding this function. First, we're going to play a clip from Dario Nardi. From his Udemy course. Highly recommend you pick that course up. It's going to be in the description. Dario goes over how to find your type, the functions, coaching tips, and the brain scans in those Udemy courses. I highly recommend you get those. And so we're going to go into our notes after we play Dario's clip. So let's get into it. Guys, we're still doing the free typing sessions. All we ask is that you subscribe to the channel, you join our Facebook group or Discord, and you message our moderator Cody. We do think we're one of the best at typing, point blank. Period. Like I don't even care to discuss that with anybody. But we're gonna break introverted sensation down so well that you can be blind, deaf, and dumb and still recognize this. Okay, guys. So let's get into it. And like I said, everything Dario does is very thorough. He takes it from him being a very just excellent knowledge to even to somebody who is in middle school. Okay, Dario does a great job of doing that. Okay, a lot of people just cannot do that or grasp that, and that's why I think there's a lot of misinformation out here.
Okay, let's get into introverted sensing, or what I call cautious protecting, or when we play this role, the cautious protector. This is one to really know about because it is a process that is among the most used in the general population. We're talking about 45% of people, as best we can figure out. We meaning all of the folks who've been gathering data for years on millions of people in psychological type. This is the one that 45% of people prefer in some way. So let's take a careful listen. Even if it's not you, you surely know people who prefer this problem.
You hear that? 45% of the people prefer this function. So that's a lot. So, hey, learn it. You could be, like we said, you could be half dead in here.
Process. So it shows up in a basic way and in an advanced way. For both of them, it's about stabilizing with a predictable standard. Stabilizing, that's a verb. And what are they working for or around? There's this predictable standard. There's something from the past, something that they're comfortable with, something that they know. And they're actually okay with change as long as things are stable and they're still with respect to this predictable standard. So you can bring in a new standard, but as long as it's predictable and it's stable, then okay, we can consider that.
I'm glad that Dario says that so that people understand that they are okay with change. I think a lot of people have that misconception. But yeah,
basic use is something that all of us can do, or almost everybody does, and that's recalling tangible data and experiences. Recalling is just a basic word. Yeah, what happened 25 years ago? It was Christmas, and it was a Sunday, and who was there? And what kind of gifts did they receive? One of the activities I found in my brain imaging lab that actually these folks were incredibly good at is listing the birth dates of all of the people that they knew, not just family members, but friends. And it was always 15 to 20 people that they could go through. Now, there was one guy who could not recall as many. It was just like 10 or 12. And he was absolutely mortified that he didn't remember the others perfectly. He's like thinking, what's wrong with me? But for the most part, that's tremendous. I mean, I can remember like maybe 3 people, 4 people.
That's SID in there. Obviously, you can't remember that well.
That's what I remember. But for these folks, it's a lot. Advanced use is about a lot more than remembering though, or recalling. It's about stabilizing a situation by comparing it to what is expected, known, and reliable. And this happens all the time in situations and institutions. A person comes in, they see that there's some chaos. And they're like, we're going to bring some order and stability to this chaos. So, for example, if some students meet and the students are like, oh, well, we want to do some action against something, or for something that's important. This person would come in and be like, well, so let's form a club and let's find a name for the club. And we want to have a charter and maybe some standard operating procedures and sort of like who's in charge, or if we're going to be egalitarian about it and vote as a group, then like let's establish that. And then there's a sense of order, and from that order and from that stability, actually a lot more is possible, because then the group doesn't waste a lot of time just wondering who are we and what are we doing and how do we work. So from their point of view, they're really bringing a huge benefit. The challenge is when the group becomes dozens, thousands, tens of thousands of people, more than that, and then the old standards no longer work. The predictable things no longer work, or they don't stabilize the situation, or they're inappropriate, whatever it is.
Here is that little cartoon again, this time for introverted sensing. A group of pilgrims travels many months to visit a sage on a mountaintop. The pilgrims enter the temple and ask, "What is enlightenment?" And the sage replies, "What did your ancestors say?" So yeah, believe it or not, others before us have asked and attempted to answer, been satisfied with, grappled, been dissatisfied with the same questions that we have. They have wisdom, whether that was born of having the wrong answers or benefiting from the right ones. At least they had knowledge and data that we can reflect upon. There is that little saying, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. This is also a reminder for everyone of all types to do our homework or do our due diligence on any kind of topic or task. To figure out what our ancestors said require more than just some hearsay, oh, they believed this, or so-and-so said that. Is about understanding the context and the situations and how those played out at the time. So if we really want to reflect upon not just our own personal memories, but upon the family, group, social memory, human memory, and what is learned, then there is a lot to take in and consider. So there's a patience that's involved. And when we discover the answers, usually that is going to provide some kind of extra weight or perspective that maybe things were not so bad in the future, or maybe they were particularly bad in ways we didn't know about, and that informs us perhaps quite strongly going forward, reflecting on what did and did not work.
So let's look at some strengths. One of them is being grounded in experience. So if you're collecting this database all the time, and you're really just like all of these details and specific things. So when I was 8 and it was in the spring and it was the first day I went back to school after spring break, like that's a specific experience. And you remember how you felt during that time. Or, oh yeah, for years and years growing up, like mom would make like these really delicious muffins and she would use buttermilk, and this was fresh buttermilk. And I just remember the taste of those, and she often put blueberries in them. And they have a certain taste of them, and nothing afterwards can really live up to mom's muffins, not even if they follow the recipe exactly, because there's just some context and some inner experience that's missing from it, because it's really, really anchored in this grounding experience. And this aligns a lot with the brain, and of course everybody then we can see how they do introverted sensing, because we all develop habits and we have attachments, and we know that as we repeat things that we burn in we burn in these pathways in our brain every time we do something, and then they get really burned in. They're like furrows in farmland. And that's how we start to think in a repetitive way. They also tend to be process-oriented. So they're paying attention to where are we in a task. Are we at the beginning of a task, in the middle of a task, end of the task? Where are we in our lives and what's appropriate for that? So when you're a child, when you're 8, you're a child and you behave in a certain way because there are certain roles. And then when you're 17, again, you're at a different phase of your life. You're at a different place in the process of living. And so on at these different places. Where are you in the process of a relationship? Where are you in the process of getting a new job? Before you even have the job, where are you in the process of getting one? So they have a strong awareness of process and tracking that process. And as they go, sort of what is comfortable, what is familiar, what are the things that I'm supposed to do? I say supposed to, not because they're always externally pushed, but because there's this feeling of like, yeah, what's typical in this situation? What are other people expecting? And especially around like what's going to work. And that's particularly important because it's like, yeah, in society, many things work because everybody simply accepts that certain things work a certain way.
All right, so Dario's talking about being affiliative there. Okay, guys, highly recommend you guys pick up his courses. They're way more in depth than this. This is just, the beginning of all these. But we're going to get into our notes here. So, let's get into this. Okay. So, you guys know we're pulling it from Dario Nardi, John Beebe, Linda Behrens, and Kara Shoemate. First, we're going to talk about John Beebe's 3 words that he used to identify introverted sensation or introverted sensing, whichever one you want to call it. Doesn't matter to me. He has it as under implementing, verifying, and accounting. Okay. He believes those are the heart of introverted sensation. The purpose is for introverted sensation is to apply records of the past to the present to ensure accuracy, consistency, and stability. Okay, like Dario Nardi said, the basic use is to recall tangible data and experiences. Advanced use to stabilize the situation by comparing it to what is expected, known, and reliable. Okay, this function is past focus. It is, if I was to say, it is the what was. Okay, SE is the what is. Okay, NI is the what will be. NE is what could be or what if. Okay, remember these are the 4 perceiving functions. We went over these. So usually when you see somebody with introverted sensing, they're going to be talking about comfort. They're going to really like the comfort. They're not going to like you to make them uncomfortable. They may dress comfort for comfort. They're going to be all about stability, trying to be stable. That's going to be a main concern of them. They're going to be about duty, honor, tradition. These are going to be things that's hard rooted into this type. And you can get to a certain degree where they have, where they are tending to be, what was the president last? Like a lawyer. When they go and review a court case, they look back and say, I don't even know a court case from the top of my head, but I'll just say Brown versus education. What did they rule? Okay, and now we're gonna rule the same way. That's how SI is. Okay, if you want to think about it that way. So when you're seeing people talk about this type of stuff, you should be able to easily pick it up. So let's get into the roles. Records and archives the past, verifies the present by comparison with the past, focuses on the smallest factual detail. These people are very detail oriented. It's kind of like, I don't know if you guys have ever dealt with lawyers or anything, especially like criminal lawyers. I had to deal with like one of my buddies, and these lawyers are very on top of you with the details. Like, you cannot miss one detail because they're gonna call it out on you. If you said something in this report, it need to match up on this report and this report and this report. Very detail oriented people. Remembers and mentally replays how things were. Okay, relives the emotions that accompanied an event in the past. Numbers items sequentially, and slowly moderates amounts or conditions to prevent excess. Seeks security and certainty above all. Okay, when using this mental function, a person may appear oriented to numbers, maintain records and archives, slow and methodical, like slow, systematic, obviously. Reliable and responsible, like we said, it's going to be duty. These people are going to be more into the duty. Nostalgic, disengaged from the present, obviously because they generally like to be in the past. Unwilling to speculate or project. Okay, they're not going to be about projecting. If you see somebody who's claiming to be an intj and you ask them to speculate and they don't, or project and they don't, there you go. Lack in effect or animation, resistant to accepting new information, paranoid. Okay. Activities that might engage this mental function: comparing the present to similar experiences in the past, pausing to become aware of body sensations. You got to remember this. This is internal sensation, so that's inside the body. Okay, this is going to be attached to health as well. Like for somebody who has SI trickster, I'm not too good with maintaining health. I can just go, and then all of a sudden I just burn out of nowhere. And then the funny thing is, I'll just burn out, be down for a day or two, and then get right back to it again. As in somebody who has high introverted sensing, they are aware of this stuff. They're aware of the burnout. They may even tell me, hey, I think you're doing too much. My best friend, who's INFP, she's always warning me, like, I think you should slow down or whatever. Whenever she warns me, I swear to God, like the next day, some shit happens to me. I don't know what the fuck it is, but whenever she warns me, some shit happens. I don't know why, but it just happens like that. Measuring and documenting quantities of something, checking for accuracy, reviewing photo albums or revisiting places and people from the past, treasure hunting for reminders of important moments, okay? Activities that might engage this function, multitasking. So, I don't know why I think I put a typo there. Activities that might interrupt this mental function. That's going to be multitasking, being pressured to finish in a hurry, having symbolic or theoretical discussions. Obviously, they're not abstract people. These people are in the past to the present. They're not so much as using, abstract things with like symbolic and theoretical things. They're not about NI or NE or anything like that. These people don't like that. Being surrounded by numerous sensory stimuli, okay? Because they are getting internal sensations, okay? So they're not gonna like to be around too much stuff. Okay, now we're gonna get into more of the heart of the function, okay? This is where you're gonna be able to pick up like, hey, this person said this person was about this person, like, when we do like the celebrity typings and stuff like that, like where I say like, okay, this person's coming from a first person perspective, they're recanting their memories in that order instead of a third person. Like we talk about SE users generally recanting memories from a third person perspective, talking about what other people were doing in it and not themselves. As in introverted sensation mostly talks about what they were doing and stuff like that. Okay, that's going to be more what they're going for. It's going to be more first person. And we oriented toward the past, like we said. What was long-term memory is going to be a good thing for them. Long-term memory. Okay, like he says, like Dario said, these people were able to like remember 15 numbers. I think I can remember 3 numbers in my head. The one number that I had when I was a kid, my own phone number, and Christian's phone number. And the only reason why I can remember Christian's phone number is because when I was younger, I didn't have a phone, and I used Christian's phone. So I used to have everybody text Christian. It's crazy. All right, so 3 numbers. That's all I can remember on the top of my head. Okay, duty, honor, tradition, seeks stability, comfort, monitors internal physical environment, tends to react slow to things, wants to receive sensations. Okay, like we said, SE is more about reacting fast. Okay, this is gonna be reacting slower. Okay, because SE is more about crisis. They're ready to go tennis hop brain. They have a profound knowing about how things have always been, the past, and from that they get their own sense of certainty about how to do things. Okay, they check the past. Okay, what I did in the past, I'm gonna try it here. Okay, they are aware of what doesn't change, tap into what is lasting to weather the storms of life. Okay, these people have a high pain threshold, suffering. They'll talk about that. You'll hear that when people talk about it. That's usually SI oriented. When presented with new information, details from the past experience are triggered. Okay, these details come quickly, and they notice how what's new matches what is expected. Then it is either they reject or more details is sought to clarify expectations. Okay, so they just use the past for everything, man. Often they recall with accurate detail how something was before and point out discrepancies from how things have always been compared to now. I remember a story. So at the hospital, one of our refrigerators was broken, and I didn't notice we had a new refrigerator for 2 weeks. And my INFP supervisor comes in and is like, Mercy, you know we had a new refrigerator? I'm like, no. She's like, we had it for 2 weeks. I'm like, I don't even pay attention to little small ass details, stuff like that. That's not even worth me like stressing my memory or anything. But people like that, they could just pick up on that stuff. So that's how they can point out discrepancies and stuff like that. Reviewing the past to draw on the lessons of history, hindsight, and experiences. They compare data against a storehouse of what is known to find what is reliable. They gather lots of information over time to confirm a set standard. They trust common experience and feel energized by participating in tradition or other customary activities. They like to follow the work, ideas, and examples of others who have come before so that they can pass these on and build on them. Okay? They're going to build on what has worked and keep it going. Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's probably their motto. They find comfort in performing the same regular work or activities every day at even steady pace. They may also insist on sticking with what has been done before. They may also insist on adhering to tried and true methods. Like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And getting all of the data from the past to support any new ideas. So if they're gonna handle something new, they're gonna gather information from the past to try to use that. You kind of see that with lawyers and stuff, judges. They go off with the previous rulings. What did they do in the past? Okay, that's what we're gonna do now. I remember it was like some football player, I think Deshaun Watson, and they didn't have one already set. She had to go to the old one and was like, well, the guy only got suspended X amount of games, so I can't suspend him more, even though you may feel like it's more egregious. I got to follow what has happened before, and that's your fault because you didn't update your policy. So that's just a tangent there. Thus, others often view them as resistant to change or feel they are also all too slow as all details get checked and filled in. Okay, this is all from the Understanding Yourself and Others. That's with Dario Nardi and Linda Behrens. Okay, now we get into that. Having been somewhere before or experienced something similar generally provides a sense of satisfying competency, achieves mastery through intensive, tireless practice, may continuously focus on memories and mementos from the past because they have a sense of sacredness, must relate events in chronological sequences in which they have occurred, omitting none, tend to dislike surprises, can adopt a rigid adherence to existing procedures, can find decisions difficult, may be unable to conceive of the likelihood that any change could occur, can become overly frugal, penny wise, and pound foolish if stressed, may grow rooted in the spot, afraid of change, may feel crippled by intense nostalgia for home, wants to preserve the natural order of things, pay attention to food, exercise, and health matters. We already talked about that earlier. Takes care to maintain safety and security, narrates the exact sequence of events down to the smallest detail. Like I said, these people are very detail oriented. If you are dealing with a lawyer who is like this, or most of them are, just make sure your story always lines up. Make sure it lines up perfect every time. Don't ever say anything new. Tends to insist on sticking to the plan and going by the book. Like these people are going to be more going by the book. Because generally speaking, SI users, besides the, I want to say the NTPs are affiliative. I think they are. I think usually when you get an SI user and pragmatic, you're usually down to two types, generally speaking. If you can find out someone's an SI user and pragmatic, I'm pretty sure you're down to two types. Off my memory here, which isn't that great. Okay, sticking to the plan. Holds on to every memory, including bad ones. Okay, so that is most detail. Okay, yeah, hold on to every memory, including the bad ones. So, like we said, they become a storehouse of their experiences. That's how you can type these people, because they're gonna be talking from their experience. That's gonna be anecdotal information. You gotta remember that with SI users, they're gonna be talking about anecdotal information. Okay, so we're gonna get into Dario Nardi's two types of SI. He has Defender and Hearth. Okay, Defender is active, focused, flexed. It's part of the analytical brain. Often in business, law, science, or technology, acts as an anchor, on guard, and guards others. A firm sense of culture and history. Stick with the strongest impressions from your upbringing. Prefer convenience and familiarity. Blocks big change, tradition, aim to civilize. And then we got Hearth, which is the more receptive one. Diffuse and flexible. It's part of the holistic brain, often in the arts, humanities, or social services. Maintain home and traditions. Draws on a big memory bank of sense. Impressions feel grounded, adapt to groups change, and flex to others' will. Prefer comfort and safety, sensitive to subtle sensory variations. Okay. I can see here, just looking at these, that I can see, the defender seems to be more SJ-ish, and the Hearst tends to be more NFP, is what I'm thinking here. But that's just my thoughts. But like I said, if you're typing these people, it should be easy to find out because they're referencing the past. They're either talking from a first-person perspective, their experiences. They talk about duty, honor, being reliable. They're talking about comfort, stability, long-term memory is the thing for them. They may be able to call specific dates from God knows when. And the things about their memories is like, yes, I can recall a memory from when I was young. But it's very big picture oriented memory. So it might be, oh, you remember when we were 5 years old and we did this? It's not going to be like, hey, you remember when we was 5 years old and you was wearing those blue shoes and then you had this gray jacket and you had this hat on and you had this and this and this and this. And I'm like, the fuck? Like, it's not going to be like that. I mean, that's how it's going to be. Their memory is like that. As a mind, it's like, hey, you remember we did this? But it's not going to be like as detailed as in like they could paint a picture with it, okay? I can just like an overall like concept of what happened. But this is our breakdown of introverted sensation or sensing. Comment below what do you think about this? Does this help you with typing people? Like we said, we try to go through multiple authors. These are multiple books to get all this information. And like we said, our goal is to be able to help you guys be able to type somebody. Even if you're blind, deaf, stupid, it doesn't matter. We wanted to get it that stressed, that good, that great. Okay, but this is Mongolian Mindset, guys, and we will be out.